What is your variety gamer score? Which of these video game series did you play at least one game of? 1 point per box checked. That's right, it's me, Scrumpy. Mario Bros. Yes, obviously. What the fuck? I don't think anyone on the planet hasn't played a Mario Bro. Zelda, obviously. Yes. Poking Man. Let me tell you, I played so much poker that I have very strong opinions, and like here's the deal, right? So Scarlet and Violet is going to come out. It's probably going to be okay, and that's really all that matters. It's probably going to be okay. After Sword and Shield, after fucking Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, after all that shit, after everything, I basically just have no hope. I have no expectations for Game Freak, and as a result of that, anything that they put out, like it, I've reached the point where I can be pleasantly surprised by new Pokemon games. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, my expectations are just in the fucking gutter. I expect nothing from them, and because of that, anything that they put out can only be pleasantly surprising. Fucking Legends Arceus was pretty good. By the way, yes, I am a staunch soft C supporter. I believe in Arceus supremacy. Okay, Arceus stands. Get out of here. I know that Arceus is technically the official pronunciation, but that doesn't make any fucking sense because legendary Pokemon are supposed to have consistent pronunciations across language barriers for the most part. And so like Dialga, for example, right? Dialga, the Japanese name is Diaruga, you know? A lot of Pokemon like that, like Mew's name is Mew in pretty much every fucking language, right? It's supposed to be like that cultural commonality point between different versions. Okay, it's supposed to be the same in everything, and I'll tell you right fucking now, there's no ambiguity in the Japanese name for Arceus. It's just Arceus. That's the Japanese name is Arceus, and they decided to go with the letter C, and then there was some corporate fuckery, and they were like, let's just settle on having a hard C, even though that doesn't make any fucking sense because Japanese doesn't have that ambiguity between like one letter being pronounced two different ways. It doesn't exist in Well, for the most part, it doesn't exist in Japanese. Ha and wa can be pronounced. It's the same character, but it can be pronounced two ways depending on how it's being used. Point is, Warcraft. Boom. Yeah, Warcraft's great. Well, I mean, it was anyway. Elder Scrolls. Boom. Elder Scrolls. Also one of those things that was great. Fallout. Bada zing. Bada shoom. Hell yeah, we're up to. I've got. By the way, I'm doing this column order for some reason. I don't fucking know why. Doom. Yes, also Doom. Kingdom Hearts. So the real question is how do we define playing a video game? Because I have played Kingdom Hearts. I decided very strongly that I do not like it, and thus I never actually finished it. But I technically did play it. You know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do. Uh, I'm gonna mark games that I have played but did not finish with green. Bada zing. That's right. So yeah, Crash Bandicoot. I played that one when I was. I'll go ahead and say that I played that one. Like I played a reasonable amount of it when I was younger. That's also a game series that I never really liked, but when I was a kid, I just sort of played whatever the fuck was in front of me because it was fun. Donkey Kong. Is Donkey Kong even a game series? Like Donkey Kong, aside from the original Donkey Kong, which is arguably not even a Donkey Kong game, that was a Mario game. Uh, like what would constitute? Is the original Donkey Kong is that a Donkey Kong game even though it's a Mario game? Are we talking about Donkey Kong Country? Because I don't think I've actually played Donkey Kong Country. I don't know. I was never a huge fan of platformers in general. Uh, I'm still not, honestly. I don't. If I'm being real with y'all, I don't really like Mario games all that much. I just like, oh yeah, yeah, I get to jump around and stuff. Cool. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put that one with a green there because I have played games in the series, but it's I don't know, it's weird, not very well defined. Tekken. Uh, I probably touch Tekken at one point. I really don't like fighting games. Borderlands. Sadly, I have to fill this one in. The Sims. Yes. Dead Space. Have I played Dead Space? Guys, I don't know if I've played Dead Space. I'm gonna go ahead and leave that one blank because I genuinely don't fucking remember. Animal Crossing. Yes. Fable. Yes. Yeah, Fable is another one of those series that I decided that I really just don't like. I played a pretty significant amount of Fable. Was it Fable 2 or 3? I think it was 3. I don't know. Fable and Peter Molyneux has this magical way of functioning where he seems to present all of the games that he's worked on as being like mega masterpieces that are super great and do everything, except they're actually just kind of mediocre at best. So I've never understood the appeal of the Fable series because, well, like I said, it's just kind of mediocre at best. None of the Fable games I think were ever particularly very good at all. At least in comparison to the RPG games that I like Morrowind, which is fucking great. Contra. I'm gonna go ahead and say yes for that one on account of the fact that I have played it, but I suck ass at those sorts of old games that are just really fucking hard that don't really have a purpose, you know? Contra is a game, like I said, that I would argue does not really have a purpose. But that's a lot of those older games where you just sort of play them and you spawn into a place and then you just sort of start going and then eventually you win. Like you don't really have any motivation for winning aside from, finishing the game, which I don't know. I mostly just liked fucking around and playing video games, so whatever. I'll go ahead and say that one. Team Fortress. Yeah. Uh fucking Team Fortress. That's another one of those games. TF2 so when it says Team Fortress, it's talking about like the entire series. I'm pretty sure 99.999% of Team Fortress fans are just fans of TF2. I don't know if I'd argue that the overwhelming majority of TF2 fans have never actually played the first one because it's like a weird and completely different game and it doesn't have hats, doesn't have a heavy weapon guy, doesn't have any of that shit. But yeah, Team Fortress, that TF2, that was another game. It kind of sucks that the game's dead now, pretty much, on account of the fact that the servers are all hacked or whatever. I don't remember what the deal was with TF2. People were tweeting out hashtag save TF2, trying to get Valve to acknowledge that there were problems, and never really happened. Uh, yeah, that was another game where it was fun, definitely, but I kind of hit a point where I was like, I never really need to play this again. I've gotten enjoyment out of it, and I don't really have a reason to keep playing. Like I guess I could keep playing and get more crates. Eh. Punch Out. I have played Punch Out. I played bits and pieces of the NES one many, many eons ago, and I didn't like it. And then more recently, some of my friends on Discord got me to play, fucking the Punch Out on Wii, and then that really solidified the fact that I just don't fucking like Punch Out. It's like the epitome of what I dislike about games, which is just, oh yeah, there's an obstacle in front of you. It's a tough boss fight. Fight the tough boss fight. You won? Awesome. Now go fight the next tough boss fight. And that's the entire game, is just fighting the next tough boss fight. I also dislike Cuphead for the exact same reason. And Dark Souls. I really don't like any of those games where basically the entire appeal of the game is the game presenting these tough boss fights to you and saying, hey, beat the tough boss fight. I don't like that. Anyway, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna here it is, garbage tier. There it is, garbage tier. Fallout 4, Payday 2 because they added that loot crate thing. I don't really think Payday 2 is bad, but yeah, Fallout 4 is terrible, and Hollow Knight. I fucking hate. Why do I have it installed? Uninstall. Bam. Hollow Knight is uninstalled. I fucking hate this game so much. It's weird. I've never had such a disconnect from everyone else's experience with the games, with a games. I've never had such a sheer disconnect between like my opinions on a game and everyone else's opinions because everyone fucking loves this game. Meanwhile, I was playing it and I was like, okay, so this charm system fucking sucks. I hate it so goddamn much. I keep getting new charms that look cool and they would have cool effects that I would really like to use, except guess what? You have like you have no charm notches. You have so few, and the balancing between like how good a charm is, how beneficial the effect it provides is, and how many notches it takes are fucked to the point where pretty much every player I think gets railroaded into using approximately the exact same set of charms, which really fucking sucks because so let me just put it this way. So there's a charm that you can put on that summons 3 spider boys that you can just sort of carry along with you, and that's cool. You know, it's fun having minions, especially in a game like this that's not necessarily designed around it. So that's just a really cool thing that you could do. Except it takes like 4 or 5 charm notches. I think I don't recall. Don't quote me on that. It takes an unreasonable number of charm notches, and your spider boys are just really fucking bad. They do 1 point of damage and they don't do a very good job of tracking. And basically, it's fucking terrible. And that's every charm in the game. And as a Metroidvania game, you hit a point where most of the items that you're finding are charms. So you're like, oh, hell yeah, look at that. It's a cool item that I found by exploring and doing things on my own. And you go up and you pick it up, and it's like, awesome, it's a charm. And then you fucking throw it in the trash immediately because it sucks and you'll never use it. And that's the entire end game is just walking around, exploring, finding charms that you won't use and then throwing them away. It's so stupid. I fucking hate it. I hate Hollow Knight so goddamn much. Anyway, Saints Row. I ain't play Saints Row. Not a fan. Jack and Daxter. I was never really on the PlayStation grind, so I ain't played that shit. Not a fan. Guilty Gear. As I've established with Tekken, I don't really like fighting games. StarCraft. Yes, I was a slave to Blizzard at one point. Nier. Oh, you know what? You know what? Actually, I have. I played Nier Automata. I didn't finish it, but you know, Nier Automata is just one of those games that really it's really good on a technical level, and I understand why people love it, but it just doesn't fucking hold me for some reason. Every time I've tried to play it, I'm just like, hell yeah. I start playing, I go around, I kill some bosses, I do some stuff, and then eventually I just get distracted with something else, and then I stop playing it forever. Warhammer. I played Warhammer. Final fuck. Yeah, I've probably played some kind of Final Fantasy. I played Final Fantasy Advanced Tactics on Game Boy. I've played bits and pieces of other Final Fantasy games as well, but I've never really liked any of them. Final Fantasy is like the epitome of why it's like there's a large group of people who just don't like JRPGs, and I'll say I'm not part of that group. But when we're talking about Final Fantasy, I completely fucking understand why people don't like JRPGs. It's just absolutely nothing about it seems interesting to me in the slightest. Like one of my friends has been trying to get me to play Final Fantasy 14, and I'm sure the game is good, but like I've been watching him play it on the Discord streams. And I'm just like I mean I guess there are cool things in this game, but nothing about this looks engaging to me. Like the world and the characters and all that shit, I just nothing has been grabbing me. Pikmin, on the other hand, is basically the opposite of Final Fantasy and is really good. And they should come out with like a Pikmin 7 at this point. Uh, I love the formatting here. You got Tales of, and then of Mana. I ain't played either of these games, so sorry. Metal Gear. I'm gonna give that one the green because I've played bits and pieces of it, and I just haven't ever played any of it to any significant extent. But that's a game series that I recognize as being good, and if I managed to get into it at any point, I would probably really like it. But when I was younger and very significantly ADHD riddled and unable to focus on anything, it was one of those ones that I just it didn't stick with me. I am planning on going back and reevaluating that opinion at some point as soon as I get around to it. God of War. I This might be angering to some of y'all. I've never understood God of War as a series, just period. Not the old ones, not the new ones that are significantly different from the old ones. It's just like I look at that and it's like, yep, that's a video game, and then I move on to things that are more interesting to me. Tetris. I feel like people who haven't even played video games have played Tetris. Red Dead Redemp. Redemp. Ooh, Red Dead Redemp. Yeah, Red Dead Redemption is great. In my opinion, it is the pinnacle of Rockstar storytelling. Because like the story of Red Dead 1 is not even particularly complicated. As far as the narrative goes, it is quite simple in fact. But uh Red Dead's narrative is not actually about the story. It is rather the story is just a vehicle for delivering the player through a series of short, sort of character vignettes with a bunch of really interesting and well written characters, and that's the entire story. Like, if you removed the interesting characters from Red Dead, you get a story that is really not interesting in the slightest because you're just John Marston and you gotta kill your old gang mates, and that's it. And you're just going around trying to find them, and then you shoot them. And the really interesting part is the characters and the friends that you make along the way, or the characters that you meet and the friends that you make along the way. That's what really makes Red Dead One so interesting. And I haven't played Red Dead Two because it is unnecessarily realistic, and I really don't just like the. Why are all the animations so long? Why is everything so needlessly realistic and weighty? I don't get it. I don't like it. Street Fighter. I've probably played Street Fighter at some point, but again, I don't really like fighting games. Chrono series. The Chrono games are basically just Final Fantasy, and I don't know. That's another one where I don't really know or care. Ratchet and Clank. Again, similar to Jack and Daxter. Uh, Ratchet and Clank is just one of those like PlayStation things that I've never really cared about or liked. Which I'm going to immediately invalidate all of my opinions by saying that I've played pretty much every single Call of Duty, and I continue to play pretty much every single Call of Duty, except for the World War II ones. Not like the new World War II ones. I mean, uh, World at War I played a lot of because Nazi Zombies was great and the multiplayer was great. World War II and Vanguard, I don't understand the point of. I don't understand why those games exist. Like they aren't particularly interesting and they aren't particularly good. And also in Vanguard, you can do some incredibly, massively fucking unholy things to the guns that you have. And if I recall, I think there's like a caliber rechambering that you can do to one of the guns that rechambers it into like 5.7 by 28, which is that's the caliber that the fucking P90 fires, which as you can probably tell from the name is a gun that was made in the 90s. So I believe P90 was short for like personal defense weapon for the 90s or some shit like that. Sort of like how SA80 was something or other serviced armaments for the 1980s or some bullshit like that. It's a weird naming scheme. Point is, 5.7 didn't exist in World War II. Also, red dot sights didn't exist in World War II. Also, weapon customization didn't really exist in World War II. So it's just a sin. It's a crime against God. Age of Empires. I have played Age of Empires. I never really got into it. I was more into Warcraft. I'm sorry. Need for Speed. Yeah, I ain't played Need for Speed. I'm not into racing games either. Harvest Moon. I ain't played that shit. Prince of Persia. I have played that. My friends, same Discord friends, are doing the fucking Discord streaming thing. Uh, fucking they got me to play Prince of Persia, and I was like, oh man, I don't really want to play Prince of Persia. That's like a game series that I've seen and I don't really care about. And I was fucking wrong. Prince of Persia is great. I love the first game. The second game taught me to hate women, and the third game was just it was really good too. Except for the fact that there was one particular jump towards the end of the game where I had to download a bunch of third-party applications to forcefully restrict my monitor's refresh rate to 30 frames a second because the game's physics engine was very slightly frame rate dependent, and there was one particular jump where you had to do a wall run and then jump off the wall and then do the hook dagger thing and stab the dagger into like a hook dagger point and then jump over to the next point. But the jump from the wall to the hook dagger point did not work if your game was running at higher than like 30 frames a second. So I had to get a program to restrict the game's frame rate to 30 frames a second because I couldn't fucking do that otherwise. my monitor did not have a refresh rate that I could set it to that was 30 frames a second. The lowest I could set it was 50, and that didn't work either. And but yeah, aside from that, yeah, is very good games. Warrior Within, like I said, the second one taught me to hate women. I fucking hate that game a lot. It was really not good. Uh, that's yeah. It was very much influenced by God of War having come out at the time and became a far edgier game than it needed to be, and also much more combat focused when the combat in Prince of Persia fucking sucks. And consequently, because Warrior Within is so focused on the combat, it kind of just sucks. But yeah, it's fine. Max Payne, I ain't really care. Ninja Gaiden. I've probably played Ninja Gaiden. I don't really remember. Persona. Persona is one of those games. I like I've seen people talk about it. I've seen a lot of shit, and it never looked interesting to me. I'm sorry. Bayonetta. I really like Devil May Cry a lot. I need to play Bayonetta at some point, but I haven't as of yet. I'm sorry. Medal of Honor. I have probably played, but who gives a shit? I ended up playing Call of Duty instead. Dead or Alive. You mean the volleyball game or the fighting game? I guess it's the same series. I haven't played either. I don't know why I'm trying to make the distinction there. Day of Sex. I ain't played Day of Sex. I'm sorry. Wow. So really, really, that first column here was just a shit ton of games that I've played, and then it just fell off hard here once it started doing like the the racing games and the fighting games and the JRPGs and all that shit. Drakengard. I don't even know what that is. Breath of Fire. I also don't know what that is. Dragon Quest. Refer to my thing about how fucking I ain't really played Chrono Series and Final Fantasy and all that shit. Halo, yes. Uh, I've played every single Halo game. Here's my quick rundown of the Halo series. All right, Halo 1 was pretty fucking good. Halo 2 was pretty fucking good. Halo 3. So I know everybody loves Halo 3 a lot. I wasn't the biggest fan of Halo 3 because it basically competed for my multiplayer game playing time with Modern Warfare 2. And I would usually rather just play Modern Warfare 2 because I got addicted to the Skinner box feedback loop of leveling up and unlocking shit. And Halo, it's sort of similar to TF2 in that you play the multiplayer and you don't really get anything for it. So I was like, yeah, this game's fun, but I don't know. Also, those original Halo games were, oh my god, I remember back in the day playing the fucking Halo games where, like, can you believe that at some point we considered it acceptable that clicking in the right stick was used for aiming? Who the fuck decided that? It doesn't make any sense. Also, I've never been able to snipe in Halo. Anyway, so Halo 3 was technically good, but I didn't really like playing the multiplayer a ton. Campaign was great. Campaign was really fucking good in Halo 3. It was cash money. uh, Halo Reach. Oh, right, ODST also. I'm sorry, I forget about ODST. I love ODST. I love it more than Halo 3, actually. It was so fucking good, but I forget about it a lot. Reach was the best one, and then 343 took over, and Halo 4 was not great. Halo 5 was actually pretty fun. I remember playing a lot of that sort of mixed PvP, PvE, sort of almost Titanfall esque mode, like the war mode, whatever the fuck that was. I really like that. I really like that sort of thing where it's sort of like mixed PvP and PvE. I love that shit. That's a type of game mode that I wish existed more, but it doesn't. Uh yeah, Halo 5 is pretty all right. Halo Wars. Evidently they came out with a Halo Wars 2. I've never played it. Halo Wars 1 I thought was okay. It was about as good as it could have been given that it was an RTS on console played with controller. And oh yeah, Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite's really fucking good. People love to complain about it a lot nowadays because making AAA games is hard and making live service games is hard, and 343 isn't making a lot of progress on some things. But you know what? I don't fucking know, man. Situation's not great. I know people who work at 343. I'm in the games industry, by the way. So it's one of those things where it's like I can understand why fans are sort of distraught with a lack of content, but they're kind of reacting a bit too harshly. Like, come on. Anyway, GTA. I've played it. Never was a huge fan of GTA. GTA 5 is probably the closest thing that I've ever had to like a Grand Theft Auto game that I really spent a lot of time playing. But at a certain point, I was playing GTA online and I just had a thought pop into my head. I thought, why the fuck am I doing this? And then I stopped playing GTA 5 forever, and my life has been better since then. Diablo is one of my favorite series of all times. I love Diablo games. It is one of the few things that I'm kind of willing to continue supporting Activision Blizzard for, even though that's objectively, morally the wrong thing to do, because I just fucking love Diablo so goddamn much. I really hope Diablo 4 is good. I got the Diablo 2 remaster, and it was really good. I fucking love Diablo 2. Diablo 2 is probably my favorite game of all time. Uh, Ass Creed, I have played it. That's another one of those games where I play it and it's like, yeah, this is pretty fun. And then I just don't give a shit about it after that. Metroid. Metroid is great, except when it isn't. I was watching a video essay the other day where this guy was like reviewing every single Metroid game in the series, and he got to Other M, and he was like, "Oh, Other M isn't nearly as bad as other people make it sound," and something or other. And I was like, "Okay." And then I hit dislike on the video and left. And I haven't continued watching it since, and that was like yesterday, so it really hasn't been that long. There are very legitimate reasons for Metroid Other M being considered like the worst Metroid game in the series, and it really doesn't need defending. That's all I'm getting at. Like, there's no reason to play devil's advocate for Other M. Like, come on, it's fucking awful. The writing is bad. The gameplay is bad. It's a shitty Metroid game, and it really fucks up. It really fucks up when it comes to the characterization of Smabus. Doesn't make any sense. Bioshock, I'm gonna give that one the green because I have played it, but I never played it fully. That's pretty much it. Mass Effect, I'm gonna go ahead and not give that one the green, even though I probably should, because I don't know. Mass Effect is one of those games where I don't really like the gameplay of it at all, and I know Mass Effect is really character driven, but also I didn't really like any of the characters. Probably because I didn't get into the gameplay. I'm sure I would have liked the characters if I had gotten engrossed by it in the first place and continued playing, but uh, I didn't. So haven't haven't finished it. Sorry. Anyway, Starve Ox. Uh, I'm gonna go ahead and leave that one blank. And then hold on, this is weird. Why is there just an empty space there? That's crazy. Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem I have played. Okay, but seriously though, Last of Us as a game series is incredibly fucking overhyped. People praise Last of Us like it is the goddamn holy bible of video games, and really it's just the gameplay is not special in any way, and the writing is okay. And really it's really not that great. Anyway, redeleting it. Fire Emblem. It's it's kind of close to a game that I would enjoy, but not really. So that one's blank. Far Cry. Have I played Far Cry? I don't think I have. Resident Evil. Resident Evil was a series that when I was younger and I was growing up, I was always like, "Oh man, I don't really care about Resident Evil. You know, it's not a series that I care about." And similar to Prince of Persia, I was fucking wrong. Uh, some of my friends got me to play Resident Evil 4 a while back, and I loved that shit. I loved that shit so much. It was so good. I played it on Steam, so I didn't have to deal with the terrible fucking GameCube controls. Of course, RE4 has been since been ported to goddamn every platform on the face of the earth, including Fridge, probably. Speaking of RE4, why the fuck? So they made RE4 VR, and I'm mad about that because it's exclusive to the Oculus Quest 2. So you can only play it on the shittiest VR platform, like the standalone headset that is like objectively. I've played a couple different VR platforms. VR is not necessarily an uncomfortable thing to play, right? Like I had an HTC Vive, and that shit was fine. That was perfectly comfortable. I could do that for hours. But like I recently got a fucking Oculus Rift S. That's what it was. I was struggling to recall the name of it because it's just an Oculus Rift. Uh, fucking, I got an Oculus Rift S, and this shit is way less comfortable to wear than my HTC Vive. It's just like way heavier on the front, and the way that they keep it on your head is by having like a buckle that you can tighten. They have like a knob that you can tighten it. So you basically just squeeze the shit out of your head to keep it solidly on your face, and that just gives you a headache. And it's just like I get it. It's nice that VR is becoming more accessible, but oh my fucking god, those Oculus headsets are terrible. They are so uncomfortable to wear. So I'm so fucking mad that they made RE4 VR, the VR version of one of like my favorite games now. I fucking love RE4. I was so incredibly hyped when I saw that they were making a VR version of RE4, and then I saw that it was going to be like an exclusive to the Oculus Quest 2, and I was like, okay, well, all right, just fucking just throw your game in the well and just drown it. Yeah, fuck it, just put a goddamn bullet in the head. Okay, why? Why would you do that? That's horrible. That's fucking awful. Why would you do it? Like, why would you do that? That's stupid. Put it on actual VR platforms. I would have settled for even if it was like a fucking PSVR exclusive. That would have worked. I wouldn't have played it, but I would have accepted it, I guess, if that makes sense. It doesn't really. Point is, I played RE4, really fucking good video game. I actually played Resident Evil 5 many eons ago and didn't really care for it. Uh, I played a bit of RE6, and that's the bad one. I have since also played Resident Evil 0. I still need to play Resident Evil 1, or the RE remake, rather. The RE make. I played the RE2 remake. I watched some of my friends play the RE3 remake and the original version of RE3, which are two completely different games somehow. Like, completely fundamentally different. I don't know why they did that to the game in the remake, but that was odd. And holy shit, dude, like, RE7 and RE8 are fucking amazing. I love those games so much. I actually speedran RE8 for a bit. There was a period of time where if I had submitted a speedrun to the record or the leaderboards on speedrun.com, I would have had world record for like a couple weeks. I would have done it. I could beat that game on easy in like an hour and something. Don't recall. I also speedran the game on Village of Shadows a couple times before I realized that I didn't want to do that because it's kind of fucking miserable. New Game Plus, by the way. Glitchless New Game Plus. I didn't do any glitches because they hadn't discovered any glitches by the time that I was doing that because the game had pretty much just come out. But really great games. I fucking love them. I love RE7 and RE8 so goddamn much, and I love RE4. There were some people that were complaining about RE8 when it came out because they were like, ooh, it's like Resident Evil 7, but they made it more actiony. They dumbed it down with RE4. Or there were people who like RE4 being like, ooh, it's like RE4, but they dumbed it down with all that bullshit that they did in RE7. And meanwhile, I love RE4 and RE7, and I'm like, are you telling me there's a Resident Evil game that's like both of them at the same time? That's fucking amazing. But yeah, 8 is amazing. I love it. Such a good fucking video game. Seven's also really fucking good. I wish that they had sight aiming in 8 because Ethan Winters has canonically received military training, and yet you still just kind of do like the more pointed hip firing when you aim in that game. It's weird. Tony Hawk Pro. Go ahead and give that one the green. I have played it. I thought it was neat. I don't really care. Gran Turismo. I think that's another one of those racing games. I don't care about any of those. Rayman. I'm gonna give that one the green because I really only played the Rayman Raving Rabbids things. Again, I don't really care for platformers too much, so yeah. Castlevania. I think I've played. I'm gonna go ahead and say no on that one actually. Soul Calibur. I played the shit out of Soul Calibur 2 on GameCube when I was younger, and that's pretty much it. I don't really like fighting games, but that game had just such a fucking atmosphere. It was so good. Uh SMT, which is different from Persona, I guess. Still don't care. Yakuza is a cool game series that I really enjoy theoretically, but I've never actually played any of them. Command and Conquer, or Com and Conk, rather. Yeah, I don't really care. Saga. I don't know what that is. Total War. I No. Fantasy Star Online or whatever. That's another one of those series where I've heard a lot about it and I just don't really care. Parasite Eve, I ain't played that shit. Mortal Kombat, I'm gonna give that one the green. I have played it, obviously. Everyone's played Mortal Kombat, but I just never really got into it. Because again, I don't really like fighting games. Megan, I'll go ahead and say that I've played that. I've played Mega Man games off and on. They're kind of like platformer adjacent because they're sort of like those shooter platformers, but I don't know. I never really got too into them. That's my stance on Mega Man. Never really got too into Mega Man. Uh, Uncharted, yeah, I don't really care. Tomb Raider, I also don't really care. Portal, great, great games, love them. Uh, Portal 1, I really like. Portal 2, I feel like Portal 2 kind of overstays its welcome and doesn't do as good of a job at being like a funny little haha fucking Portal platformer puzzle game as a consequence of that. But Wheatley is cool. I love Stephen Merchant. Pretty much it. Sack. Obviously, everyone's played Sack. Come on. The Witcher. Everybody says that The Witcher 3 is like a better version of Skyrim, but it's a third person game, and I don't know. It's a stupid reason to not have played a game. Point is, I don't really care for the Witcher universe. And like the main reason why I'm into the Elder Scrolls is basically just because I'm already engrossed in that lore. It has already captured me, and nothing about The Witcher looked really engrossing to me in that regards. In that regards, plural, more than one regard. Half Life, yeah. I still haven't beaten Half Life One. I refuse to look up a guide, and every single time I go to play it, I'm like, oh, I'll start a new game, and then I play through the game, and I play through the game, and then I get to on a rail, and I get lost, and then something happens, and then I stop playing the game. Which I've heard is a common thing, actually. A lot of people don't really enjoy on a rail. Spyro. I'm gonna go ahead and give that one the green on account of the fact that I have played it, but not so much. Not so much like thoroughly to completion because, like I said, I was always more on the Nintendo side than the PlayStation side. If there was a game that I would say from the PlayStation platforms that I really enjoyed when I did play it, it probably would have been Spyro, which probably matches. I don't know. I don't know if you can hear my chair squeaking when I rotate it like that, which probably matches the experiences that a lot of people have. I feel like a lot of people who aren't even necessarily fans of fucking PlayStation games probably enjoy Spyro. Next up, we've got another empty space. No, fuck. Hold on. Why? Oh, right. I have to do that. There we go. Another empty space. Crazy. Who could have guessed? No, but really, Dark Souls, in my opinion, even if the games are technically good, they have had overall a negative impact on gaming culture. I don't think anyone can deny that. The existence of the whole get good mentality and this belief that game hard, therefore game good, has been so fucking pervasive recently. And I hate it. Dark Souls as a series is just one that I've never really gotten into. I don't like games that are just. I already went over this when I was going over like the fucking Cuphead and the Punch Outs and whatnot. Not that Punch Out is a Dark Souls game in any sense. It's just this sort of this mentality that like yes, you are playing the game because it is hard and you get over that. It's like okay, but I want to play a game that's fun. And Dark Souls for me is not fun, so I'm just gonna get out of there. Devil May Cry is great. It is a game about looking cool and being cool and feeling cool, and it's great, man. I still have trouble fighting that goddamn Cerberus. Silent Hill. When I was younger, I always got Silent Hill and Resident Evil mixed up, and I really don't care for Silent Hill. Atmospherically, it's fucking great, but the gameplay is terrible. I think even Silent Hill fans will agree with me on that. That the gameplay of Silent Hill is not the reason why anyone plays Silent Hill because it's fucking awful, actually. But atmospherically, it's really good. They're doing a lot of good things there. And Konami just they don't know how to make games, and there you go. They just abandoned the Silent Hill series because of it. Hooray. Uh, Hitman. I don't really care. Dragon Age. So I went ahead and was like, oh, I've played Bioshock, but it didn't really grab me. Uh, I am a sucker for traditional Western fantasy. I like elves. So even though Mass Effect and Dragon Age are basically the same series, I didn't really gravitate towards BioShock, but I do really like Dragon Age actually. Uh, Dragon Age Origins was an okay game in my opinion. It So I tried replaying it recently on PC. There's a bug with the game where the game will use 100% of your CPU if you alt tab out of it while you're in full screen. I had to download a utility that forces games into borderless windowed in order to get that to work. Uh, but yeah, Origins, the level scaling and the difficulty in Origins is really fucking ridiculous, and I kind of wish that it wasn't actually an RTS, you know? But I really like Inquisition. I haven't played 2 yet. I've been meaning to do that. But I have to finish 1 first. Because I never actually managed to finish 1 because I would always hit that extreme difficulty curve. It's just fucking ridiculous. And I refuse to put the game on easy, by the way, because I'm an epic Fortnite gamer. Gears of War, I have played. I think it's bad. Gears of War is not good. I remember in like Gears of War 2 or Gears of War 3, I don't remember which one it was. There was like a scene where one of the guys was driving a truck. He was like, I'm going to heroically sacrifice myself. And so he drives a truck into like a huge tank full of fuel and then it explodes. And the only thing that I could think of was that wouldn't make the tank explode. Like, do people think that fuel tanks, like fuel canisters, do people think that they'll just explode if you hit them? Because they won't. Those sorts of fuel canisters will only explode if, well, I mean, obviously there are certain conditions where they would explode just randomly, but usually because the tank has been compromised significantly and left to do some other kind of bullshit over a significant length of time. But point is, usually flammable gases will only combust if, you know, they are ignited, and like hitting a barrel full of oil will not ignite it, nor will shooting it, actually. Shooting barrels full of flammable gases will not ignite them either, because the fact of the matter is the bullets are not hot enough to do that. If you have, I believe if you have tracers, the glowing or fucking incandescent phosphorus on tracers is hot enough because that is literally burning. But aside from that, no, not really. But yeah, Gears of War, not a series that I like. I think it's stupid. Banjo Kazooie, I'm gonna go ahead and give that one the green. I've played it a bit. I've said it 75 times by now. I don't really like platformers. And also collectathons. I'm not a huge fan of those either. They're okay, but it's just never really a game that captured me. Counter Strike, I'm also gonna give the green. I really don't like how I got into the game too late. I tried to get into it anyway because I always heard like, oh, Counter Strike's so good. It's like this legendary game in FPS history, but I never I never really got into it on account of the fact that anytime you play with the game, or play with the game, anytime you play the game, everyone that you're playing with just kind of has this immediate headshot tracking. It looks like they're using an aimbot, but they're not. People have just been playing that fucking game for long enough that they can just do that. It's like, wow, this sucks. I don't want to do this. I'm just gonna go back and play more fucking Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Worms, obviously, everyone's played Worms. It's a great party game. Shadow Hearts. I don't know what Shadow Hearts is. Bomberman. I've probably played Bomberman, but Monster Hunter. Shenmue. That's that weird one, right? Yeah, I haven't really played that significantly. Watch Doge. No. Dishonored. I have played Dishonored. I'm not a huge fan of how that game handles its morality system. I think it's really not that great. Uh, where it's like, oh, it's one of those sort of immersive whatever the fuck, the im sims, sort of like Cruelty Squad and Day of Sex and whatnot, you know. But with Dishonored specifically, so the big key point of im sims is that you can sort of play through the game and do it however you like, and you get a lot of emergent gameplay as a result of basically just having a big sandbox with all these tools that are available to you. Dishonored does the unique approach when it comes to im sims of giving you this big open sandbox with all these tools and an objective to complete and letting you do whatever you want to complete the objective, but then slapping you on the wrist if you don't do it no kills stealth, which I think is kind of stupid. Kind of stupid that you would give the player all these tools to complete the objective the way they want and then say, "Oh, but also there's an objectively right way to complete the objective, and if you don't, then we're going to wag all our finger at you, call you a silly fuck." And I don't really know what Wild Arms is. So that's it. That's all that we have here. So let's tally it up. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. So that's we got final gaming gamer score of 40 out of 100, and then let's go and get the greens as well. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm not gonna like give those, no, not 50. I'm not gonna give those like a fractional value. I'm just gonna leave that up there. So I got 40 games that I have fully shitted and farted through, and 10 games that I've kind of touched and decided weren't really for me. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all that we got to it. You got the 40, you got 10. This is an MS Paint. Why is That's weird. There was a persistent box there, but you know what? Who gives a shit? That's fine. That's all fine at the end of the day. But yeah, so that's oh, also credits to this guy, I guess. Zwei Double. It's funny because Zwei is German for two and double is for two on Twitter. I'm gonna fill that in with the Twitter blue. Here we go. Woo! I'm coloring in the Twitter bird. Don't everybody love coloring in the Twitter bird? Here I go. And it's fuck. And it's complete. The Twitter bird. Everyone loves it. But yeah, leave a comment in the comment section below if you also learned to hate women from playing Prince of Persia Warrior Within. Thank you for shitting. I'm Carlton from the hit video game Com and Conk. Thanks.